Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance is out. John Riosti is out. Chris Hearn, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while. What's your shirt say?
Yes,
Stark? What is Stark?
Stark Industries. That's Tony Stark, Iron Man.
All right. Well,
mid-July in the office. You know,
Hey,
we generally
that's-
wear a lot of T-shirts around here.
my granddaughter picked out my ensemble, so I don't want any comments, please.
You look good. No, you look
Pick
good.
it out. It's good enough for me. Number one,
Yep.
how many PPP loans do you have? PPP. How many PPP loans do you have in your portfolio?
The winner is?
Very good, 40%.
Wow.
Very impressive. Good for
Wow.
you. Yeah. I know where you are, Chris. Where are you? Are you in the? You're not over 50. Are
I
you?
would be. No. I would land in that 0% there. We have about 44,000 left, 43,000,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about half and half. Good. Number two, are you prepared to submit guaranteed purchases on those outstanding loans?
Prepared to submit. That's an interesting phrase, Bob.
Very good. Half and half.
Okay.
And do you feel you've exhausted all opportunities to forgive your outstanding loans? Again, half and half.
Okay.
Very good. So benchmarks, about half the industry has it under control, and the other half are working through it. So I think that's fine. I've no issue with that, Chris. Do you?
No, it's good. It's interesting. I mean, exhausted all opportunities to forgive your PPP loans. I mean, at this stage of the game, I would like to believe most all the lending community has done everything they can in terms of emails and text messages and, phone calls and direct mail and everything. We've certainly tried all of those, but there's still a pretty stubborn, apathetic group, I'm afraid, that's left at this point. The thing about the previous poll question, though, that's what's really interesting, is prepared to be ready to submit guarantee purchase. I've been saying since February, this fall is going to be potentially a disaster for private sector lenders as well as the agency, frankly, because it takes a while to submit a guarantee purchase. I mean, a really experienced person probably takes a good 20, 25 minutes. If you're hiring a contractor because you got a lot left, I mean, it could take up to 45 minutes just to submit to SBA, and then SBA is probably going to take some similar amount of time to approve it, and that's a significant amount of human labor hours between now and call it January, and the bulk of it's going to be September, October, November, December. So it's we're definitely staffing up ourselves. We've got another 15 contractors coming on board actually next week to be trained for this, and we're really gearing up for this. But again, our numbers are a bit high compared to some other folks out there.
Well,
It's going to be a big slug.
Yeah, but you're also one of the top 10 PPP lenders, correct? Yeah. So
Right. Yeah. But my point is, it's just if somebody's not prepared for this, they need to really start looking at this, because it's going to take more time than a lot of people in the private sector probably realize.
I suspect some people are shaking their head and going, "What do you mean 25 minutes?"
Well, I mean, you can crank through them 20, 25 minutes. Lance can do one in about 20 minutes. That's not bad.
Fatherland.
Yeah, it's
Fatherland.
Father Lance. Do you know why we call him that, right?
Yeah, because of forgiveness.
Because he spends all day forgiving people. That's right.
Switching gears, number 4, do you have any unfilled positions at your lending institution? I'm not talking about positions that are available. I'm talking about positions that you just can't find a qualified applicant.
Wow.
And with that, let's bring in Delaney. Are you on? Do we have Delaney on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, there you are, Delaney. I didn't mean to ignore you. What does the NFIB say about unfilled positions?
Based on their recent job report, they found that half of all small businesses have job vacancies, and nearly half of all small business owners have had to raise compensation. In addition, over a quarter of the small business owners surveyed intend to increase pay in the upcoming 3 months.
So obviously, a lot of you work for a small business. Definition is less than 500 employees. So you are in that group. So I'm interested, Chris, you said you're bringing on 15 contractors. How difficult was that to assemble that team?
It's not that difficult for us because we've gone through 2 years of PPP where we had some contractors helping us. So it's actually given us the opportunity to go back to some of the people that we just didn't have work for them to do, but they actually did pretty well during PPP for us. And submitting for guarantee purchase, it's a process. It's kind of assembly line if you make it. So we feel like this is something that a lot of the contractors can do. We don't necessarily have to pull like our credit people over or closers over or things like that. So, but you got to jump on it. You got to get going on it. I was a little surprised to see those numbers. 78% have unfulfilled positions for qualified people, and that's a big number. I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, we have some unfulfilled positions, but just because we're always looking for credit people, we're always looking for salespeople, but that's a big number. Wow, I was a little shocked by that.
I think the takeaway is, yes, Delaney, as you said, they're raising compensation, but there's other things you can do in terms of networking what you have and making sure you're focused on that, because people do have a lot of different options when it comes to employment, and they're getting more and more picky. So interesting numbers. I was shocked by the 78% too. I think that's that's a good benchmark, but it's something that is a huge problem for our industry. What else did the report say, Delaney?
I am not sure. I didn't get to read this, but I do know very commonly in the NFIB reports, they do say a big part of this issue is small business owners can't find qualified participants. It's usually not at all qualified applicants or barely qualified applicants.
When I set you up, then Joseph is supposed to advance the slide. Advance the slide, Joseph. There we go. And then Delaney, go just segue, act like an expert on this chart. So Delaney, explain this chart. We hung poor Delaney out to dry. Go ahead, Delaney.
So based on a recent report from the Federal Reserve banks, this was the 2022 report on firms owned by people of color, and so they had some great statistics. They found in 2020 and 2021, Asian-owned firms were more likely to apply for PPP loans, but despite this, white-owned firms were a lot more likely to be approved for their full funding they were seeking and a lot less likely to receive none of the funding they were seeking through PPP.
This is an NFIB report as well. I know it's very extensive.
This is the Federal Reserve Banks.
Oh, the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, very good, very good. Both those reports, the NFIB just came out, the Federal Reserve Bank. I know, Delaney, you're going to be talking about it. You're going to be writing about it, and we'll get that out later today. But those are both interesting macro analysis in terms of if you want a better idea of what's going on. I guess my comment, Chris, is these stats, in the world is constantly changing, but this is a very different animal than what we went through in 2008 and going back further, the dot-com crash. Different dynamics and different challenges for small business owners.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've talked many times about this, the focus on small businesses as opposed to large corporations during this time, which is great. I would just caution people to read too much into some of this data, because I can tell you, for instance, I bet less than 30% of our applicants of PPP loans last year actually even self-selected what race they were. So, I think the presumption is most folks in government think everybody's going to check the boxes. I don't find that to be accurate. And so I just don't know how much we could rely on some of this data. So I just caution people, and as you just said, we live in a very changing world, Bob. I mean, these are 4 categories that I'm not even sure that many people even necessarily put themselves in anyway. There's a lot of mixed race folks out there, a ton, and obviously it's happening more and more every day. So, and there's no place here to say I'm half this, half that, or something like that. So this is good. I know statisticians. are always looking at this data, but I just don't know if it's that accurate.
No, well, I mean, and yeah, you have to go through. The reason why we present it is that, and then you can take the full report. This tends to be consistent with what we've seen with other reports, and it's used also to support the SBA's push in underserved markets, and I have no issue with that. I have no issue with targeted programs on that. So, go ahead, Chris.
Right. Well, and we all know if you're doing SBA lending, we're lending much higher proportions to underrepresented groups than just ordinary conventional bank lending. So that I think is definitely a takeaway. I just don't know if this is a fair representation, these specific numbers. That's all.
Very good. Let's see. What else we got, Chris? What's going on in Washington? John Riossy's out. I know that you had your pulse on it. We can't find anything. And people are taking off for the summer. Have you heard anything? I'll put you on the spot here. Have you heard anything of what's going on?
The only thing I can tell you is about a week ago, the working member in the House Small Business Committee has come out with some suggested improvements he wants to make in the agency. So beyond that, it's been fairly quiet. I think there's a lot of other things that are rather large distractions in Washington right now, in addition to just people taking vacation. There's a lot of other hearings going on, as we all know, and there's other things that they're trying to get done before the midterm elections, and it's going to be a mad dash between now and November to see what happens on a lot of these things.
Right. But I do know we hear rumblings, well, not rumblings, SB is working on USOP. There is stuff coming out. Again, but the consensus is in the committees, as small business SBA is bipartisan. It is true down the importance of the ladder of things that need to be done. But when they finally get together and they push it through, it'll happen. So we're looking for some interesting changes on that. I should just probably phrase that there's nothing on the horizon that portrays doom for the program. The support continues to be there. Just because it's not on the news does not mean that it's being ignored. How's that for a summary?
That's good. That's good.
There you
go. I mean, there's a lot going on in Washington with in regard to oversight.
Yes.
Of all the SBA stuff that's happened the last couple of years. That's I think actually keeping a lot of folks busy right now. But I think that's a good summary, Bob.
Very good. Anything else you want to add to our summary in our mid-July? No. Well, Chris,
no, we're the dog days of summer, as they say. So hopefully people are staying busy.
Actually, you're right because school's starting next month?
That's right.
Hey, Lance is doing this great webinar in a week. Take advantage of that, and we'll have some. We'll get some more information on that. Chris, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy. Hey, and everyone, I thank you for your joining us. And we'll cut it short today. And thank you for joining us for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.